Hello and welcome to the Deep Three Podcast. This is your host, Matt, joined as always by Sam and Kevin. What's up, boys?
Hello, hello.
So I got a couple questions for you. Not just one, I got two. First question. Do you see this hoop? Do you think I can make this ball into the hoop?
No.
Sam?
How much money's on the line? It depends.
It's a three-peat title with
Are we talking Jordan one
year, coming back the next.
Are we talking about the Orlando Magic missing 4 straight free throws in the finals? Okay, then I'm definitely going with a probably no.
All right.
Let me go.
Let me see.
This is like some.
God damn it!
I respect it.
I was so close.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make that a meme as soon as possible.
All right, but for real, I actually do have a question that does require some thought. So, if these documentaries of The Last Dance have taught us anything, it's that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. I don't think there's really much of an argument there, to be honest. If there is, I mean, yeah, Sam, okay, whatever. But we have seen a lot of not only Michael Jordan's, superiority, but also, his irritability and the gambling problems or whatever you want to say, and all of that shit. The issues that he had with his teammates because they weren't on his level. Sam, I'll hit you first, not literally, not like Michael Jordan, and I'm not MJ and you're not Steve Kerr, so. If you had the choice, would you play with Michael Jordan?
As a man that's played some sort of competitive basketball, I would say probably no. I think as much as I respect the fire, I've grown up in a different age, obviously, where getting punched in the shoulder is like a compliment. I don't really take that as a compliment. I don't really take berating as a compliment more. I don't know. I guess I feel more doubt, as we saw later with Scott Burrell, kind of just being called a hoe, kind of called a piece of shit, basically. It's like, but I believed in him so much. But I mean, at that point, I probably wouldn't play with MJ. I mean, in all honesty, I probably wouldn't play with LeBron. I think it's too intense for me. Maybe if I was in that mindset, I could probably understand it. But if I'm just playing the game just to play the game, I'm not on either of those teams. So no.
I get that. Kevin, what do you think?
I'm kind of on the same boat, but I think it's different for professional basketball players. Clearly we're not professional basketball players. Wow, surprise. Who would have guessed? And so I think if you are, that it's kind of different because you want to be the best. You want to be part of that greatness. But from our perspective, we're like, that's not worth it. It's not worth it to go through that berating and literally abuse to some extent to be good at a game. And for some people it is. For some people, they're super competitive and they just want to win at all costs, and they will take that abuse if that means they can be a better player. I have no interest in that in any aspect of my life. So
yeah, if I had to choose, I think I would want to play with him either one season or just maybe even if I was at that top tier, an Olympic game or something like that with him, I could not play with him for years and years and years, because I mean, there are first, you have Mamba mentality, right? There are some people that just thrive off of that abuse, I guess you could say, or off of that superiority and whatnot. They want to be better, and and they'll do whatever they can to be better. But there are also other players who don't do it. It's kind of like a teaching thing, right? So there are people who learn from auditory, there are people that learn from visual, so on and so forth. If we take players like MJ, especially in his time, maybe I would be more willing to, but even then, that's hard. But then you have people like LeBron who only lift up his player, lift up his team, lift up even all the players in the NBA, rookies, he's like, I get, maybe not man of the people. I don't know if I want to say that, but he's like more of a friendly character. I would rather play with LeBron than I would with Michael Jordan personally. Um, but that's
Yeah.
such a big opportunity, like you could go your entire life being like, yeah, I played with Michael Jordan. Like that's rough. That's a
I
hard
think
one.
it's the classic like positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement.
Mhm.
Like you have LeBron bringing people up and things like that and supporting them, and then you have Michael Jordan who's just talking shit and like giving them tough love and things like that. But Jordan won 6 titles. Oh,
Okay, I mean, you're not wrong, but
I guess my only argument to this is that in this day and age, I don't think, maybe I'm the old head about this, and I'm like 25, so I don't know if I can be called old head about this, but I don't think players really care about accolades that much. I think it's because there's so much more media attention in
Mhm.
the sense of like there's other things you can make money off of. There's other things you can do nowadays, right? When you're an NBA player back then, I think we kind of saw the salary cap at that point. It was like the top 10 players make money, and
Yeah,
even then it was like very small relatively, and probably even then the top 5 got actual endorsements after that. I
right.
mean, think about it. Even we got endorsements, and what are we, right? So
yeah,
I
like
think
Jordan. Yeah. Jordan didn't even make a lot of his or most of his money through his actual salary. Like Scottie Pippen made more money over his career than Jordan through
Yeah.
staff. So, like,
That's pretty wild to think about. I think I do agree with you, Sam, though, because if we're looking at like LeBron's career, yeah, he doesn't have 6 rings, but if you see everything that he's done outside of the game, like his own school, which has been very successful, all of the charity events that he's thrown and all of like the donations that he's made, um, his life does not stop at the NBA. It does not stop at basketball, and you definitely see that with more players now. It's kind of like if you're not part of a charity or something like that, then you're not really well known, or if you're not doing anything outside of actually playing basketball, then you're not really well known. Even Kobe, who had the Mamba mentality, who was probably had the closest mentality to Michael Jordan than any other player in the NBA. Even he had charities. Even he made a school for, well, not a school, but like he made a basketball league for his daughter, like that was, even he had accolades outside of the NBA. So I think that's also kind of important to keep in mind when you're looking at now versus then. So thank you for answering my question, boys. I appreciate it. Sam, why don't you give us some updates?
All right. I think all of us have heard, just once again, out of pure desperation for wanting the game back. There was a few calls between NBA and NBPA, Players Association.
Mm-hmm.
There was also a secret phone call that also got leaked because thank you, Woj and Shams, for that, about how a lot of the key players and the key representatives for these teams, kind of had a meeting with the commissioner, saying like, hey, do you actually want to like play, or do we want to cancel the season? A lot of the major stars from AD, Russell, LeBron, Chris Paul, everyone was for it. So that's actually great optimism from that standpoint. And they said they want to make a more solidified decision in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So I asked you guys, Kevin, first off, how would us fans like to continue the season? And then second, what is the most realistic approach?
so I think as fans, you want to pick up where we left off. We want to finish the season, then go into playoffs, and then go into the next season like nothing ever happened. That's ideal. Realistically, I don't think that's gonna happen. And I think if there's gonna be games, it's gonna be without fans, which again is gonna kind of, like we've said 100 times, it's gonna be this weird kind of feeling. I think I'm okay with them starting games again, even if it's without fans. Now at this point I just want basketball, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. But I think maybe you just shorten the season at this point. You play a couple more games to kind of get everyone back into it, and then you go into the playoffs quick, I guess, not as quickly as possible, but as quickly as that would be that would make sense, I guess. That I don't know. Like, I feel like you got to give players some warm up times, but you got to get into the playoffs soon and then kind of finish the season sooner rather than later, so it doesn't affect next season. Because you still want to have the off season and let teams, I guess, plan everything for next season.
That's a good point. I definitely agree that we definitely want basketball back, right? I read a report about how there could be a 40% loss in total revenue and total income for players as well. Obviously, it doesn't make as big of a deal for like the superstars, just because they have a bit more financial background. But a lot of these new guys who are just coming up, a lot of these rookies who already probably made their silly purchases and getting their giant Gucci watches and probably, let's be honest, a Gucci car if that's a thing. But I think it's great that we should have the season. For me, I don't think we should even jump into the regular season. If we're going to do it, then it should be purely out of preseason, just to limit the amount of travel and the amount of exposure when it comes to the virus, obviously. At this point, I feel like we should just jump into the playoffs. Matt, what do you think?
I would agree with you. I think there's been enough games where we can solidify who deserves that playoff spot. And while there have been a few teams who have been making that leap to, try and make it their own to get into the playoffs, you're going to have to cut your losses one way or another. There's just not much that we can do about it. I would definitely say like you need to shorten playoff games, not like the game themselves, but like the series. So instead of playing best of 7, like play best of 3 even, because there's just no way in hell that you're gonna play out the playoffs, have the championship, and then start the season. That is way too close together. So if you're gonna do it, you gotta, like you said, Sam, you gotta like do maybe some preseason games. You gotta warm up. You gotta do whatever you can, but you got to. We're running out of time. We are really running out of time on the things that we can do right now, and I would love to watch playoff basketball, but there's a lot of things that have to go in our way, and shortening the playoffs would probably be the biggest one, which is going to be a pain. But what else are we supposed to do?
No, for sure. I guess my only counter argument to shortening the season would be, quote unquote, having the wrong teams win. I guess if you have those kind of just those 2 fluke games in a way for the 8th seed to beat maybe a Giannis team that honestly is well deserved to make it to the finals, or the Lakers team or Clippers team. As much as we like the underdogs as fans, I think from a revenue standpoint, people are not going to enjoy watching a 7th seed or 8th seed make it to further up in the playoffs. So that would be my counter argument, because then just a lot more income would go down.
I mean, that's understandable. I get that, but what are we gonna like? What else can we do? When would the season like? It's gonna still take a little bit of time for us to even like think about having basketball again, right? Like, let's say best case scenario, we get playoff basketball in July, right? So it's over when mid-August, maybe like beginning of August, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. Season's supposed to start typically late October, around that time, early November. That's not even that's like maybe like three months that the players have to practice and recuperate and whatnot. And I just don't know if that's enough time. I like, even for the teams that aren't playing, everything is just so close. Like, everything is just so close together, so cluttered. It just, I can't see that working if you're going to keep the same amount of games. I understand that, like, if the Bucks lost to a fluke, yeah, that would suck for both parties, for us as the viewers and the Bucks themselves. But I mean, what else are we supposed to do? Like, there's only so much time that we have right now.
That's a valid point. I know there's rumors. A lot of owners are saying that they want to start the next season Christmas Day, which would be awesome.
Yeah, I would love that.
Like that. But yeah, it definitely would hinder both the NBA draft I'm not really sure when that's going to happen. My guess is also would be late August, maybe come September. And the main issue being the off season. How these players are going to go get their money, and if there's any money, because there's a whole thing about how the CBA is going to be basically destroyed at this point because there's no revenue being generated, right? So hopefully a reasonable decision is made. I think from a logical standpoint, the season should continue just because there's so much money on the line, both players and owners, obviously. So hopefully we get some playoff basketball ASAP, boys.
It'd be nice.
Moving forward, ESPN released, I think, 4 or 5 days ago, a top NBA players of all time list. I believe it was the top 74.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of questionable, especially between top 10, top 20. I guess first off, Matt, what do you think about the top 10? Do you agree with it? Do you agree with the order?
I'm scrolling through it right now. I've already looked at it a bunch of times, but I just want to refresh my mind. I mean, the order is interesting to say the least. I'm very surprised that they would put LeBron James as number 2, not because of his talent or anything like that, but because people just love shitting on LeBron James. That's mainly why I was like, they put him ahead of fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Really? And I don't know. I think that's very interesting. I think the fact that LeBron James is number 2 kind of shows how good he really is, because he's like the Michael Jordan of our era. You could say that. He's kind of like either the Michael Jordan. LeBron is either Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant is the Michael Jordan of our era. But he's just so fucking good. I don't you can talk to me about rings, who has the most, who has the least, but when you see him play, I mean, Sam, you've said it a million times on this podcast. He's a fine wine, dude. He's a fine wine. He when he gets older, he just finds different ways, different play styles. And this season, he was passing a lot more. His fucking assists were nuts. He found AD anywhere, and it was perfect. The other thing about this list that I kind of have a issue with is I think Larry Bird's too low. I think Larry Bird should be up there a little bit higher. Kobe Bryant, I would love to see him higher, but the top 10 is so good that it's hard for me to pick and choose which person should go higher and which one should go lower, to be honest, because I actually do agree with this top 10. Maybe there are a few players that you guys can name that I'd be like, okay, yeah, they deserve it, or they deserve it, but Shaq was incredible for the time that he played. Even though he didn't he couldn't shoot the ball at all, he was still amazing. Obviously, Kobe Bryant was incredible. Larry Bird was fantastic. Tim Duncan was so fucking good. It's just, this is a really good list. I think I agree with the majority of it, honestly.
All right, that's fair. Kevin, do you have any contradictions to this?
I kind of agree with Matt. I hate to say it. I like the top 10. I might move some people around maybe, but in general, I think it's pretty good. I think my only thing is maybe move Wilt Chamberlain up a little bit.
Right.
Because it specifically says the only reason he doesn't rank higher on the list of all-time greats is because he only won 2 championships, which is, I think, the man averaged 30 points and 23 rebounds a game over his career. I mean,
that's amazing.
NBA was different back then. That's okay. I accept that. But I think he's top 3. But overall, I think it's good. I think you got to have Kareem in there. I think Tim Duncan is a great addition to the top 10 that most people wouldn't put in their top 10. But I think fundamentally, Tim Duncan is probably the best fundamental player we have had in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He's boring to watch, but that's because he does everything right every time. Like, I don't know. I like. So I think that this list is really good. I don't think it's perfect. Again, Kobe number 9, I kind of actually agree with. I think what he's done for the game of basketball, incredible. Honestly, changed it. Was probably the best of that era. But overall, in the grand scheme of all NBA players ever, I think number 9 is a good spot for him. And I don't think that's disrespectful to what he did at all. I think that's still incredible.
Yeah, sure.
No, definitely good points. I'm going to definitely contradict both of you, and I think this list should be completely demolished. Whoever made this list should be fired immediately. I think it was horrendous how they even designed this. Like, this list should be designed based off 2 criteria. Okay, there's NBA players and there's basketball players, and I'll tell you, in both of those lists, MJ does not deserve to be number 1. I'll tell you that straight. MJ is top 3, but he is not number 1 on either of my lists. If I said overall basketball athlete, it's LeBron James. We talked about this so many times. You heard me. It's annoying at this point. The man has the right physique for the game. MJ is 2, for sure 2. I will not take that away. But LeBron, in terms of being a basketball player, I think LeBron just genetically is better. I mean, he's got the right height. He got everything the right size to that.
I agree with you 100% on that. And there, you know that argument where you're starting to put like players like back then versus players now. Like you could talk about like Walter Payton versus, Adrian Peterson or something like that if you want to talk about football. You could talk about the fridge versus, well, the fridge would probably eat everybody alive. Anyway, it's such a hard comparison because if you put LeBron James as he is right now, he's just so much bigger. He's so much more built than almost all of the players back then. I think LeBron James might be the one person that could go one-on-one with Shaq. Like, that's how big he is. That's how strong he is. Like, he would definitely lose a few times for sure, because Shaq is just a fucking presence. But if you're talking about genetics, pure genetics and physique, like LeBron James is a fucking genetic masterpiece. And that might be the weirdest thing that I will ever say in my lifetime, but it's true. He is a born athlete, and he is just an incredible superstar. Sam, continue. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
No, like I said, when it comes to just pure basketball, like we said, I think LeBron just has it, and it's awesome just because he's still evolving his game. But in terms of being an NBA player, to me, I think accolades do matter because that's what the part of being the NBA is. It's about making money of what you're good at and getting all the accolades for it. So number 1, I think there's a lot of disrespect for Bill Russell. I think he should be easily number 1. 11 titles in 13 years, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
More rings than fingers, okay, that's unreal. Yes, it was during the 50s. He stuck with one team, but in 13 years, 11 rings, unreal.
Yeah.
Second should be Kareem. One of the most signature shots of the game. Still used
the most signature shot in the game. Like nobody has perfected it like he did. Like whenever he did that sky hook, it pretty much went in and nobody could defend it.
Exactly. So Kareem easily makes it. MJ goes to 3, in my opinion. I mean, he got 6 rings, scoring title champ, defensive of the year. I mean, easy right there. 4, I'm gonna put Tim Duncan. And I think it's just like you said. I think he's boring, and people just don't understand the amount of fundamental skill he has, and he honestly just put San Antonio on the map.
Are you sure that that's not because of a personal bias there, Sam?
I'm not wearing any Spurs gear. Where's my Ginobili shirt? I'm not wearing anything. I'm wearing a Sand Fruit shirt, all right? I'm in a Sand Fruit shirt. Tim Duncan easily. I would have kicked out Jordan first, but out of personal reasons, I keep him at 4. Wilt goes to 5. I don't think LeBron deserves to be in the top 10 just yet. I think if he gets a ring, he's easy in the top 10. But if we're saying Wilt doesn't make the top 5 just because he doesn't have 2 rings, I don't know why LeBron makes it in terms of NBA player status. I guess the major thing is, I don't know. I think Kobe should be 10. I think Shaq should be even closer. Like he should probably be closer to top 5 if anything. Maybe he'd probably be number 6.
Yeah.
That was just scary dominant.
Yeah. Nobody could defend him. That's like they had the only way that they could defend him was to, foul him. Like some like what was it called? The hack a Shack? Yeah.
Exactly.
Like that was the only way to do it. Like that was the
Exactly.
only way to defend him. Like what the hell are you going to do?
Exactly.
I
And I
think
think mm,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Sam.
I think in terms of snubs and also just kind of what ridiculous this kind of is, in my opinion, I'm surprised Steph Curry's personally at 13. I think he shouldn't even be
Ooh,
top
yes.
15.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Let's go, Sam.
Also, Kevin Durant, 14. Like, I think Kevin Durant should be above Steph Curry. And if anything, they shouldn't even be like in this top 15 list. Like, they don't have that kind of dominance yet in terms of what it means to be an NBA player. They got the stats. Okay, cool. What else can you do? I mean, clearly, Will Chamberlain once again had stats, but clearly not enough respect to make the top 5. Someone that did get snubbed, in my opinion, Oscar Robertson. I don't know if anyone watched it. Probably not because it's in 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah.
He put Milwaukee on the map before Kareem.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. And that guy was first Mr. Triple Double. That guy was like, he gets triple doubles day for day. Russell beat his record. All right. So that guy set a standard. It took him, at least 30, 40 years until someone broke that. So, in my opinion, Oscar got snubbed. But this list is horrendous. Man should be fired. ESPN, get to where this is horrendous.
I have something to say about the LeBron and the rings because I think, yeah, so he has 3 rings, right? That's impressive to be sure of. And while Wilt Chamberlain had 2 rings, if you look at the NBA right now, I would probably say that 2 rings is still impressive as well. But if you look at the teams that LeBron was on when he won those championships, like, okay, I'll give you Miami. Yeah, that's cheesing a bit, but if he was on the Cavs when he won a final, and
Bad Cavs team.
like the only other good player on that team was Kyrie. Like maybe, like you know what I mean? Like LeBron James carried that team, and this is a team sport, Like maybe MJ still would have won without Scottie Pippen or Dennis Rodman, but like when you think of those championships, you don't just think of Michael Jordan, you think of those 3 together. And I mean, like even the Golden State Warriors, right? Like you had Steph and Clay at the very least, and like Draymond to help him out, but LeBron James carried that team, and that is very hard to do. Like, I know that like football is way more of a team sport in the sense of like you need a lot more communication with your teammates in order to actually produce something out of it. Whereas basketball, you could kind of carry the team on your back almost, but he had nobody, man. He had nobody, and he still won titles. Like,
That's true.
Get out of here with that not in the top 10 bullshit. Like, come on, man. And also, I have a hot take, and I'm interested to see. And Kevin, I haven't heard a lot from you, so I'm going to see what you have to say about this. I think by the time Steph Curry retires, he is at least in the top 6.
No.
And I think the reason I say that is because Steph Curry is the reason that the 3-point shot is so valuable now. He is the one who solidified its need in the NBA. That man is one of the most clutch players to play the game. He's an incredible point guard. Definitely nowhere near the top 10 right now. I agree. I think like maybe top 13 might be a stretch. I agree with you, Sam, when you were talking about him and Kevin Durant being there. Both of those guys are just so fucking good. But like Steph Curry literally changed the game, right? Like he absolutely changed the NBA, and you have to give him a lot of respect for that.
I do, absolutely. But look at all these other players on this list. I wouldn't necessarily. I would have to really see another evolution in Steph's game to put him in this top 10 list. Like
asking so much.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what all of these players did. They improved so much over time, and they like LeBron James only has gotten better. Wilt Chamberlain put up 30 points a game and 20 rebounds a game. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, both absolutely unbelievable players for what 15 years straight, like of just or 10 years straight of dominance. Seth has had 3 to 6 years, give or take, and choose any range of that, of good, really good, unbelievable basketball. But that's it. I need to see more. All
I
these guys
think
have been playing for 10 years plus of just god tier basketball. Get out of here. Get
okay,
out of here with this trash.
okay, but like, hear me out, right? So when we're talking about, oh my God, when we're talking about like, when does it get to the point where we stop looking at stats in the past? When does it get to that point? Because
Never.
it changes. The game has changed completely. So when does it get to the point when we're like, okay, yeah, 30 points, 20 rebounds. That's incredible. There is no denying that. But like
I
when
know
you
who
look
those
at the
little.
time, when you look at the timeline, like, was it? I mean, like, I mean, I am not dissing Will Chamberlain in the slightest. He is incredible. He is amazing and definitely deserves to be in the top 10 at the very least. But when does it get to the point when we start looking at other accolades, right? When we start updating those accolades, it's just I don't know. I don't know. When do we start looking at like the future as more those stats as more important?
I agree. I agree that we do need to kind of keep that historical context in mind. But that being said, I still think my point stands in that I think it would be tough for me to put anyone in the top 10 who has played, what, 8 seasons like Steph
I
has.
agree.
I,
No, no,
I think
no.
it's
I
more.
agree. I agree. I'm not saying that Steph Curry is going to be in the top 6 or whatever anytime soon. I that's what I'm saying
Okay.
that
Okay.
by the time he retires, he is definitely going to be in that conversation. I
I get.
truly believe that.
Okay, hold on, boys. Let's be real. Steph Curry will not make the top 6, but he's more likely to be president because he was able to create jobs in the NBA. He made a lot of homeless people 3-point corner specialists. He got him the Hall of Fame badge, basically. He made Klay Thompson. I'm going to say that. He made Klay Thompson. Klay
Ooh,
Thompson
I like that. Yeah, for sure.
Klay Thompson, good on defense for the most part, but, you learn from Steph, right? Steph has an unbelievable range, unbelievable shot. Everyone models his game. Dame Lillard, I didn't say it. I'm pretty sure he'll say, nah, I invented the deep half court shot. No, first off, probably Trae Young, if anything. Because Trae Young over everything. But I'm, as much as he's revolutionary to the game, I don't think he's a top 5 NBA player of all time. Like it doesn't make sense yet. Yes, it's. I agree with you with the whole like stats aren't everything, and I definitely agree with that point because back then no one shot threes and everyone was 7 feet tall. But once again, I think rings and I think accolades do matter because that means that shows how much dedication you put to your craft as well. And we kind of saw that with MJ.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'll make one last point is with Steph. To me, when it comes to being like a quote unquote leader, I don't really see that in him. He has a very more playful attitude, and that's not to bash him. I think that's fine. You can be like that. He's got his rings. He showed it to us that he can win like that. But like when you compare it to like LeBron, Kobe, MJ, there was not that fire that like I'm going to take over because we saw in some of those finals where critical moments Steph didn't show up. He missed a lot of those threes. We had Iguodala making the Finals MVP or Finals MVP. Never forget Andre Iguodala. So I guess we'll see. We'll see how time goes. Let's start moving over to our next segment. Back to the courtroom, gentlemen.